Hello, NALHE familia. I want to share something with you that I am very excited about. The registration for our NALHE Summit is now open. The summit will be held in Dallas, Texas, September 11th through the 13th. It is going to be a phenomenal event with great learning sessions, networking opportunities, and plenty of fun with the Sabor Latino, which I know you will not want to miss. So join us, register soon, and now I'm going to leave you with a few words from one of our keynote speakers.
Hi, this is astronaut Jose M. Hernandez inviting you to the 7th Annual Leadership Summit being organized by the National Association of Latino Healthcare Executives. This is going to be held in Irving, Texas, September 12th and 13th. This year's theme is Empowering Excellence, Uniting Innovation and Impact in Latino Healthcare Leadership. I don't know about you, but I love innovation, and I'll talk a little bit about my story in the area of innovation and healthcare, along with my experiences of how I became an astronaut, and also about the movie that just got released, A Million Miles Away. So hopefully we'll see you there in Irving, Texas, September 12th and 13th. Look forward to being there. Once again, astronaut Jose Hernandez inviting you to this great leadership summit. Be there.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to NALHE, the National Association of Latino Healthcare Executives. I am Edmundo Castañeda, a national board member for NALHE. Delighted to have you here for our event, an interview with Deborah Visconi, a transformative leadership journey. For those new to NALHE, let me introduce our impactful association. With over 18 years of shaping healthcare, we stand as a beacon for diversity, equity, and inclusion. We strive to ensure that Latinos, Latinas, and diverse individuals not only have a place, but a voice and influence in healthcare leadership. Across the United States, our 17 chapters are united students, early careerists, executives, physicians, nurses, and industry professionals. Together, we are advancing leadership, growth, career opportunities, community engagement, advocacy, and transformative care. Join and connect with NALHE, the NALHE family, where our programs are inspiring hope, providing insight, fostering wisdom, and transforming trajectories. Key to NALHE is our mission, promoting health equity for Latino communities by amplifying Latino, Latina representation and advocating for inclusive healthcare policies. Our vision is revolutionizing the Latino and Latina experience within national healthcare leadership, and our call to diversity ensures we remain steadfast in our dedication to inclusivity, respecting all individuals irrespective of background. We advance NALHE by way of our 5 strategic pillars: capacity building, growth and sustainability, engagement and strategic alliances, advocacy and policy, and mission and culture. Get to learn more about NALHE and join our family. I want to thank you for joining us and now leave you with our NALHE Tri-State Chapter President-elect, Dave Ortiz. Enjoy the enriching conversations ahead and welcome to NALHE.
Thank you very much, Marcos. Thank you very much, Edmundo, for the introductions. Hello, friends and family of NALHE. My name is Dave Ortiz. By day, I'm a very proud Chief Executive Officer of the Crystal Run Ambulatory Surgery Center here in Middletown, New York. It's affiliated with SCA Health, a national company making great strides in healthcare. I am also the NALHE Tri-State President-elect and co-chair of the inaugural Ascender program and creator of the series. In this interview series, I sit down with accomplished Latino healthcare professionals to explore their journeys, challenges, and triumphs. La Rama is intended to be a guide for aspiring Latino healthcare professionals. Here's how. Branching out. Just as branches extend from a tree, La Rama aims to extend knowledge, inspiration, and mentorship to early career Brown and Black healthcare leaders. Rooted in heritage. This series celebrates cultural heritage. Participants share how their backgrounds, traditions, and family values have influenced their paths. Mentorship and growth. LATAMA provides a platform for seasoned leaders to mentor and guide next generation through their experiences. Community and inclusivity. Just as a healthy tree supports a thriving ecosystem, LATAMA fosters a sense of community. And championing authenticity. Like leaves of a branch, each interviewee brings their unique story. Authenticity is celebrated here. I have the blessing to kick off this series with someone that is a recognized leader in healthcare in the tri-state area. She's an advocate for diversity and inclusion and has created opportunities for her staff to reach their highest heights. I am a direct benefactor of Debbie Visconi, President and CEO of the Bergen Newbridge Medical Center. She's a trailblazer. She created a path for me to succeed under her mentorship and remains a guide and a dear friend that has supported me most recently in deciding to pursue my MBA, which I just did last week. Debbie, we're here. We've arrived.
Hi, David. So good to see you. And let me start off by saying congratulations to you for getting your master's degree. I'm continue to be extraordinarily proud of your journey and your career trajectory. So, congratulations and well deserved. And I know you worked really hard to get there.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It wasn't without, your guidance and your help.
Yeah.
And if time permits, maybe we'll talk a little bit about that.
Thanks.
But Debbie, tell us a little bit about yourself and who you are and where you are now.
So, Deb Visconi, I am, let me start it this way. I'm a Puerto Rican girl from Brooklyn. And that's really who I am. And I've had an incredible life journey, an incredible career journey that I'm very proud of and has led me through a lot of determination and grit to be where I am today as the president and CEO of Bergen Newbridge Medical Center in Paramus, New Jersey, which is in Bergen County, which is the largest hospital in the state of New Jersey and the fourth largest publicly owned hospital in the country, serving vulnerable populations. We're a safety net facility serving vulnerable populations with expertise in behavioral health, mental health, addiction services, chronic conditions, and the aging population. So that's who I am and where I am today.
Yeah. Debbie, you fill a very necessary space, and so does your institution. So thank you very much. So let's go into some of our questions.
Sure.
So I want to ask you, what inspired you to pursue a career in healthcare leadership?
I felt like I was meant to be in healthcare from a very early age. I was inspired somewhat by my mother, who wanted me to be a nurse. But really, it was my desire to help others. I grew up in an underserved family, underserved community in Brooklyn, New York. I was one of 5 children. And some of the things that we struggled with as a family was, access to healthcare. And because we had Medicaid or we didn't have health insurance, we always ended up having to sit in waiting rooms filled with people hoping to see a doctor. Because there was not in those days, tremendous access or really an understanding for what communities needed, communities of vulnerability needed to be able to access healthcare. So for me, it was a calling. It's just been my life long journey to change the world, to make a difference so that people that deserve healthcare should have access to high quality healthcare. And as I mentioned, my mother wanted me to be a nurse, and she thought, that's the great career for a girl, which, by the way, I'll tell everyone here, it's a great career no matter who you are. I encourage everyone to be nurses. But I didn't feel nursing was for me. But I did want to get into healthcare, and I chose the laboratory technology field. And I I started my career, my clinical career as a phlebotomist. I worked my way up through the laboratory sector, eventually continuing to always want to make a big difference, always wanting to make a difference for people and communities. I chose to get my master's in healthcare and get into administration. And I felt that, the higher up I could go, the more impact I can have on making those changes for people.
Great answer. What leadership qualities do you think are essential for success in the healthcare industry? Maybe from, qualities that you've witnessed in other people, just qualities you felt that were the winning combination for you.
Integrity,
Hmm.
emotional intelligence, transparency, and collaboration, partnerships.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And
Yeah.
then, you know what, I firsthand know what that feels like, especially to be collaborating with you and working through the years. And it just feels organic. It feels like it's a natural thing. And it makes sense because you've experienced it and you're passing it on.
Yeah, and I never underestimate the power of relationships, no matter who the individual is, or whether it's a good relationship or you think it's a bad relationship. Never underestimate the power of relationships and building those. And look, you and I have known each other for many, many years, right? And we've stayed connected because of the power of that relationship and what we've met to each other through the years.
Yeah. Yeah, that phrase comes to mind, it's a small world in healthcare. It seems like it gets smaller and smaller because you get to meet so many new people. And those new people just become, regular resources, regular friends or coworkers or partners in different processes.
Mm.
Can you share any success stories or memorable moments from your tenure as CEO that you could share with young, inspiring leaders in the Latin community?
Oh boy. So yeah, that there's many examples of or memorable moments. And I'll tell you, this is a great story. It just came to me. Um, it was my first day on the job. I was fresh, brand new CEO, walking out of my office at the hospital. I was so proud and just so excited. And I walk out of my office, and there's a woman standing in the hallway crying her eyes out, like really, really upset. So, me, I always want to help everybody that I see. So I run up to her and I said, "Oh my goodness, are you okay? Is everything all right?" So she starts crying about her daughter who had become addicted to drugs, and she had come to our hospital to get help, and she was upstairs waiting for a bed. And when she got there, there was no bed available for her. And we had, I guess my staff at the time had said, you have to come back another day. And the mother felt like if she let her go and put her back out in the street, that she would never come back and she would eventually die of a drug overdose, or not live the life that she was meant to live. And so she says, "I'm looking for somebody that's in charge." And at that moment, I had no idea how to help this woman. I was brand new on the job, and I just panicked. And I said, "In charge?" And I looked at my badge, and I got this unbelievable courage of what I was there to do, which was to help the people. And I said, "Well, I'm the president and CEO of this hospital." And she goes, "Oh my God, you're like an angel. You just appeared. You're a blessing." And I just said, I was thinking to myself, "Oh my God, I have no idea how to help this woman, but I'm going to help her." And so I made phone calls and I got her hooked up with my people, and they got the daughter a bed. And the long story short was the daughter did recover, and the daughter never went back to drugs, and it became a addictions services counselor. So she's given back to the industry.
Wow.
She ended up having a baby. The mother and the daughter share the story of this young woman and how her life has turned around. And so I think, what I would say to my colleagues here, young aspiring leaders, don't lose your voice, don't forget your voice, and have the courage to act, because that's a lot that drives me. Is I'm not doing what I do for me. I'm doing what I do for the people, for the communities, for the team that works at the hospital. And so always try to remember, when I had that moment of panic, like I wanted to turn my badge around and go, I don't have no idea who's in charge. I just, pulled myself together, and the impact that moment made to a person, and now a child, and generations to come. So, keep your voice, don't lose your voice, and be courageous.
Wow. That's a crazy first day.
Oh, yeah. Gets better after that, even 6 years later. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that really defines like servant leadership. Like right out the gate, you come out of your office and you roll up your sleeves and you get to work. That's pretty epic.
Thank you.
All right. So as a woman leader in healthcare, now we're talking about some of the personal struggles that you might have had to overcome. What challenges have you faced? Or maybe what challenge have you faced that you feel kind of sticks out? And how did you overcome it?
Well, being a woman, female in an executive role, it's always a challenge. I'm usually in a room full of hospital executives, the single woman sitting there. And so that's always a challenge. It goes back to the voice, learning to use your voice in a room full of men who have loud voices, often never ending voices. Not
No,
you, David. Not you, David.
no offense taken.
Not you, David. But for me, trying to interview for different jobs along my career journey, applying for jobs, knowing that I was the right person for the job, and always, more often than not, losing it to a male counterpart, who are of course impressive professionals. But you often wonder, like, if I wasn't a woman, would I have gotten the job? And so I think there's always that plays into challenges and overcoming them. There's always the again, the single woman in the room, making sure your voice is heard, having the courage to speak up. And for me, I don't like in big meetings, I'm usually the quieter person, because I don't just like to talk to hear myself talk. I like to talk to be relevant and say something that's meaningful. So I think those are things that become challenges over time, that you do have to learn to overcome, and you do have to learn to utilize your relationships, utilize your colleagues in moments like that. Those types of things, I think, certainly being a woman become more challenging.
Pretty powerful. Like I said, I've seen you help people work through challenges, with this perspective where, these are your options, these are your choices. This is the easy way. This is the harder way. And the harder way is going to get you more results, but you've just got to buckle down and get it done.
Yeah, you have to have that. You have to have that courage.
Yeah.
And that focus, David, really that focus, just, like you have, just determination to get to the goal, and, why you're doing what you're doing.
Thank you. Do you feel that healthcare industry is doing enough to promote diversity and inclusion in the C-suite? What do you think?
Well, I think we're making progress. I think it's still very misunderstood, what inclusion and equity really are. And it's not just only about the color of skin, it's about making sure that people are given the tools that they need to succeed. And not everyone needs the same tool at the same time in the same way. And it's really recognizing what equity really is and inclusion really is. So I think that we are turning a corner because we're starting to use that language. We're starting to have big organizations rally around diversity, equity, and inclusion. So we are turning a corner. I think we still have a lot more to do as leaders, as an industry, in terms of really understanding and really making that impact. And the impact is not just our workforce. We have to make sure that we're equitable and inclusive with our workforce, but also our communities, making sure that we reach our communities when, where, and how they want to consume healthcare, and not just us telling the communities, oh, you need to go here to this building and do this. It's really recognizing how our communities consume healthcare and being able to deliver it in that manner. So we have a lot of work to do, but I feel really grateful that we're talking a lot more about it. And I love to see that Joint Commission and CMS are starting to recognize the importance of equity in our space.
Yeah, it's a great answer. I had some follow-up questions, but I think you actually answered it with that one. So thank you for that. What advice would you give and this is now for the aspiring leader? Like what advice would you give an inspiring leader in the healthcare industry?
Innovate,
Innovate.
think out of the box. You know, we're in a great place and time in healthcare where there's so many opportunities to do things differently, to think about ways of healthcare delivery, to think about how we're engaging our workforce differently. So think out of the box, you know, and don't let, you know, I'm an executive, so this is probably that's not going to sound right, but don't let the red tape of bureaucracy stand in your way. You know, march down the hall to the people that are making decisions. Be at the table, you know. But so I would say to aspiring healthcare leaders, you know, have that courage, innovate, engage, you know, and ask to be at the table so your voice is heard.
Appreciate it. You know, I love that because it really ties into NALHE's summit coming up in September. You know, it's about celebrating innovation. You know, I think I see these different programs that we have working now. Like you have La Mesa, Laurie Thibodeau, and a team of people have put together this program for early careerists, right? To just elevate them to the next level. And shameless plug, I'm also the co-chair with my wife Raquel Ortiz, who's the creator of the just newly created and just kicked off Ascender program. I think that, you know, those ideas, those elements are completely, you know, home here in NALHE. You know, they just fostered. This interview series really was intended for us to be a new tri-state chapter project. But because of how close and how in touch our leadership has been, it became just a bigger platform, a bigger opportunity. So I think innovation, you see it envelop and start to unfold when you have people around you who either may not need to see it like you do, but they are supporting what you see, which is a completely different experience. So,
and I think, you know, the programs like the Ascendor program and other programs, I encourage, you know, aspiring leaders to take advantage of those opportunities. There are things that are out there now that never were before. So take advantage of those opportunities. You know, get into mentorship programs. You know, generate those relationships for yourself. So, you know, you don't ever know who's going to be the person that opens that door for you, right, David?
yes, ma'am. Nailed it. You know, I've gone to you and I've actually gone to you for advice, right? And, you know, a scenario I see more often is people are at the cusp of moving to the next level. And there's a fear factor to it, right? What do you feel is the constant, or is there a consistent theme in some of the advice that you would give somebody just to take that leap?
Don't be afraid. You know, it's when I took the leap to be the CEO, I had never been a CEO before. I knew I felt that that was my calling to get to that point. And I remember going through this very intense interview process to get to for the position. And one of the things that I was told, I had gotten to pretty much the end of the interview process, and there was 3 people left. And I remember the people that I've been talking to said, you know, your next stop is to meet with the county executive and the county leadership because we're a publicly owned hospital, and the county wants to meet the CEO candidate. Mm-hmm. And they said to me, but, you know, just know that the county really wants somebody who's been a CEO before. So you're probably not going to get the job. So if you don't want us to put your name forward, we won't do it because you're probably not going to get the job. And at first I got scared, and I'm like, you know, they're probably right. I'm not going to get the job. And I probably shouldn't bother wasting time and being disappointed. But then I just said to myself, you know, I said, you know what? No, put my name in. I want to meet the county people. I want them to meet me. And it was a phenomenal interview. And it was meant to be. But if I didn't have that courage to just stick with it. So I think, you know, again, thinking about where you want to go, what what motivates you, what excites you. And when I had the opportunity, when I learned about what the opportunity was for this hospital, I was so excited about the opportunity. And follow that dream. I know it sounds a little, hokey, but follow that dream. Follow what excites you. Every move that you make, and sometimes the move doesn't have to be upwards. Throughout my career journey, I moved horizontally, learning more about the healthcare system and learning about the products, as opposed to always going upwards. And don't, opportunities come in different shapes and forms. If a door is open, walk through it, take that chance. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But take that chance, follow that passion, follow that excitement.
Wow, that's a pretty great answer. I think that last piece first of all, I never heard that story. It's the first time I heard that story. So I didn't realize it was like that. So that's incredible. But you touched on something I think that's really cool that we kind of stress on. It's almost like tactically sound to make a lateral move if you're going to learn a new skill set or broaden. If you're back of the house and you want to do operations, sometimes a tactical move, potentially moving in the same title, going to another area where you have that exposure and have that opportunity, is still a benefit because you're gaining, right? Especially if an organization that you work in is willing to invest in giving you that opportunity, right? So I think that's pretty powerful clarification. I think most people are afraid or consider it a retreat to make a tactical or side, I guess, equivalent move, right?
Yep. Yeah.
But there's a tactical benefit to that as well.
Yeah, and I advise many of the aspiring and mid-career management team in my place. When they come to ask me for advice, I tell them, you don't always have to move up. Sometimes moving laterally or horizontally will make a change. And you're meeting people, you're developing relationships, you're adding to your skill set. So that's never a bad thing.
Okay, that's excellent. This is the time of the interview series where I wanted to turn it over to anyone who's viewing us potentially on YouTube or on LinkedIn Live. Like, this is your opportunity, guys. NALHE friends and family, join the chat. Let us know if you have any questions. Haha, perfect. Jahira, I see you. Jahira B has a great question. How do you manage work-life balance?
I'm not really good at that. but I managed to. And as I mature in my career, I have learned, a little bit better the last couple of years how to balance that. And, it's about, for me, remembering what you enjoy in life. We have a great family, so I love spending time with my adult children and my husband and my sisters and my mother. So making time for the people that you care about, taking the time, this whole thing with work from home, I now allow myself on occasion to work from home, especially on a sunny day where you can go to the beach, spend time reflecting and thinking. And so I do spend most of my hours of the day on work and work related issues. But there's always that opportunity on weekends, on days off, to take that day off, to take that time off. I love to listen to music. I love to read junk books when I'm on the beach, because I'm always reading healthcare journals. So every once in a while, I like to read a junk book, things like that. And I know this is going to sound really funny, but I truly enjoy kitchen dancing. So if you've not tried that yet, that is really a lot of fun. So just turn on the radio and dance like no one is watching. But listen, I raised two kids, like you and Raquel. You raise a family as a careerist, and that is always a challenge. How do you balance that? How do you stay connected to your family and yet bury your head in your career? So, and I think for women it's always a little bit harder, just because of the stereotypical expectations of women. But I think especially as our as our society has evolved, I think things are definitely changing for us. So yeah, that's a tough one, work-life balance.
Thank you.
But it's a good question, Jahira. Thank you.
Any other questions, guys?
There's some great comments. I'm reading them now. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, I might turn and just talk a little bit about those, but I do have a question. It's just kind of a straightforward one. What's your definition, if you could, what's your definition of true leadership?
What is my definition of true leadership?
It's kind of ambiguous, but tell me what you think. What comes to mind when you think of it?
I think it's, I think it's someone who gives back to their team, someone who is transparent and honest and leads with integrity. I always say that you're a true leader when your team will follow you through that pond of alligators to get to the other side. And I have to say that in many of my career stops along the way, there's a lot of people following through that pond of alligators. But
Yeah.
I give back to the people. I give back to them, and I would never ask them to do something that I wouldn't do.
Yeah.
And so I think that has really been some of my successes because of that approach.
Yeah, there are many who are recipients of that, and I think can speak to that with intimate understanding of what you just said. We do have two more questions, and then I just want to turn over to the third area of what we of the interview series, right? But Maria Dominguez asks, what is one healthcare issue that keeps you up at night?
One healthcare issue. Well, there's quite a few of them, but let's think. One, I would have to say, is financial underpinnings of the healthcare industry. We are a regulated industry living in a free world, and things are done to us that we have no control over. Inflation, prices, food prices, how we get reimbursed. Payers can choose to pay us for services we provide, or they choose not to and deny our claims. It's the rising costs of workforce. It's staying afloat, making sure that you can retain and recruit talent to your organization. So all of that wraps into the finances and the financial infrastructure of hospitals and healthcare systems. So I think those are the things that I worry about at night.
Wow. I see one other question I think is really relevant. And I think, what is your advice on how to advocate for yourself, experience, and competency when hiring leaders default to job titles over competency? Kind of what we were talking about earlier, so to speak. But in this scenario, the person on the other end kind of already has their own ideas of what candidate needs to look like.
Yeah, I hate that. And I tell my team all the time, I don't hire a resume. I hire a person. And when I meet people, I know they're the right person for the job. And I don't look for the person with the most experience or that went to the Ivy League college. I'll look for the person that has the passion to do what we do. I mean, healthcare is a unique industry. So it's a calling. Like, you have to want to be in healthcare. So for advocating for myself, it's talking about my virtues. It's talking about the way I do business. It's talking about what I bring to the table as an individual. And when you're challenged by an interviewer who says, well, you've never been a CEO before, and no, I haven't. I have not been a CEO before, but I'm going to be the best darn CEO that you ever met because I care about my community, because I have integrity, because I work really hard, because I listen and I engage and I collaborate. So to me, it's more, but it's hard. It's hard to penetrate that black box. If you apply for a job online and your resume gets stuck in that human resource black box and you don't meet the criteria, you may not get a chance at an interview. So the other piece that I would advise is, find mentors or people that can introduce you or open that door for you to help speak on your behalf with your experience and competencies besides just what's on your paper.
Mhm. That's a great point. If I could add to that, I feel like, some people will apply for a position and then wait for a response. When any opportunity that I've gone for, if I've applied for it, literally I have researched either via LinkedIn or, just Google search the organization. And literally I will go to every extent to find who I would be reporting to.
Mm-hmm.
I'll find that person on LinkedIn and I'll say, "Hi, my name's Dave Ortiz. I just applied for this position. It appears that it reports directly to you or someone within your organization. I just want to introduce myself and just try to give you a different side of me that my resume may not be able to tell. If you have the opportunity, I would love to have a brief conversation just to tell you why I'm the best candidate."
Mm-hmm.
I've been pretty aggressive to the point where, some people would wince at that, right? That's a bit too much, but it isn't, because it's always worked in the instances I've used it. So I think the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and you apply once, but that's not just it. That's just the beginning of the process, right?
Yeah.
Reaching out to the recruiter, finding out who you're reporting to, learning a little bit more about that organization. I mean, you'll end up being more prepared for an interview because you've done so much research on it. So I think that's where it really needs to keep going. Not just the application and waiting for somebody to sift through it, but almost giving somebody a heads up. Look for my application. It's in that stack. I'm the guy that reached out to you on LinkedIn.
I think we now have tools that we didn't have years ago, like LinkedIn, where you can make a connection with someone and start that conversation.
Yeah, I think the same person who asked the question just added, "Thank you so much for the advice. I continue to run into hiring challenges, even when I'm recommended to apply for the roles based on my competence." Ashley Utu, I hope I said your name correctly. I got to be honest with you. I feel that everything happens for a reason. Everything happens for a purpose. So the job that you don't get was never intended for you. That's how I honestly feel. And it's easy to say that, where I feel I've arrived, right? But I think through that process, looking back, I've missed out on maybe a handful of positions that I thought were mine. I mean, I had the previous title. It was just the next step in this new organization, and for some reason they went internally, and that's their choice.
Right.
If I had that role, I probably wouldn't be where I am right now, and that's how I see it. So I think you got to keep looking, got to keep knocking, and you'll find the right fit for yourself. Good luck, Ashley.
Lena Maria Alfonso has a question. Do you see that one?
Yes. Oh, yes. Okay. What are some ways that you motivate and engage your staff in your hospital? And how would you describe the culture in your organization?
So when I first got there, it was a very sad, sleepy culture. So over the last 6 years since I've been the CEO, I've been transforming that culture. And I would say today it's an engaged culture. The staff is engaged. I walk through the halls and staff run to hug me, to talk with me, to be proud of the things that we're doing. They write me letters. They send emails about the work that they're doing and how proud they are. So we've shifted to an engaged culture that focuses on quality and safety and being part of a community now. Being a part of something bigger than us. And about how I motivate and engage staff, I mean, it's a constant thing. I mean, I am always out and about. I'm always very communicative. I write a weekly letter to the staff. We shout people out. We do all kinds of award ceremonies. We just started something that's it's done quarterly for people who have been noted in a survey or in a letter by name. So if somebody says, oh, Lena Marie was really great to me and she was so kind. So Lena Marie will be invited to the special CEO ceremony where we do things like chocolate fountains. And the other day we had waffles and ice cream, and they get a pin and they get a picture, and there's a video of everybody and music. So we do all kinds of things to make the staff feel engaged, empowered, part of a bigger thing. Every time we have ribbon cuttings, every time we open something or do a program, we have a big ribbon cutting, and I invite the staff to be up there cutting the ribbon with me. And we just remodeled our cafe, so we had a contest to have the staff name the cafe.
Wow.
So it's really just it is constant. It requires a lot of energy, and it requires a lot of touch points. My entire senior team is charged, like me, to go out there, talk to people, engage people. We are not a punitive culture, so if people make mistakes, we learn from them. So that's how I would describe the culture at the medical center. That's a great question, Lena Marie. Thank you.
Mhm. Nice answer to the question. Thank you. I missed this one, but I think it's a relevant one. How do you find mentors? Now, I want to make a shameless plug here. At NALHE, there are different programs, right? And I kind of mentioned La Mesa and Ascender. One of their primary goals is typically connecting that member who's part of that program with a mentor. So that engagement is built into NALHE. And I think that also exists in ACHE, which I'm also a member of. And most of those organizations, they are there to kind of connect you. I think that's a good place to start. But Debbie, what do you think? Is there anything else you would talk about in terms of where to get a mentor?
There's all different, like there's so many different ways to get mentors. There's formal programs. We started a formal program at Bergen Newbridge, but there's also informal mentors. It's people that you meet along the way, that you connect with, that you just, use to bounce things off of. So for me, my path, I have never been a mentee in a formal mentorship program, which is kind of funny, but I've been a mentor in formal mentorship programs, and in people that throughout my career that have still I'm connected with, that call me and connect. So I find them many different ways. And don't be shy. People sometimes will reach out and say, hey, would you mind mentoring me or being my mentor? I know personally I love to give back. I mean, I feel like I'm in a place in my career where I give back to my team, to people, to the community, to healthcare. I want to give back, so I'm always looking to help people and be part of things. And and then there's we're all like that. There's many people in healthcare that want to give back and be mentors and help others. So I just noticed something here on the chat. Yesenia Montalvo, as a 20-year employee, I can attest to the 180-degree positive shift in the culture. Yesenia, thank you.
I was going to bring that up.
Did you see that one? That's so cool.
That's very cool. Good for you. And thank you, Yesenia, for bringing that up and sharing that. This was a part of the interview series, Debbie, that I kind of visualized it. And it was a work in progress, albeit, but I reached out to a lot of peers, people who we worked together that all reported to you. And we kind of like have labeled it we were graduates of the Debbie Visconi School of Leadership. And I reached out to Chris Roker, who's the CEO of Lincoln Medical Center. And in the way I intended it, but I would pop him up and he'd just invite him in. But the format and everything else didn't work out. But I just want to let you know that Chris Roker's one. Raquel Ortiz is another. Saraf Asgadam is another.
Oh my gosh, Saraf.
So many different people who actually have, through your guidance or under your leadership, have ended up branching out to become C-suite leaders themselves. So This was the moment I was going to try to make a tearjerker, but I'll work on that for the next time.
Okay.
I'm going to jump into what I want to call like rapid fire questions. And these just a handful of questions that I'm hoping I can get a real rapid response, 1 word or 2 words, however you feel is comfortable.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
All right.
How do you define your leadership style?
Collaborative and transparent.
Good answer. Which leader, oh, you know what? Which is the one trait that you think is critical in a leader?
Integrity.
What is the one word you would use that defines you?
Tenacious.
That's a good one. What is one word that people would use to define you?
Determined.
If you had a chance to host a TED Talk, what would you talk about?
Nurturing relationships.
Nice. All right. Well, it's 7:46, and I think we're at the end of the interview series. I got to tell you, I could not begin to thank you for sharing this journey and sharing it with the people who were able to join and bear witness to this. And I'm sure that people will be able to see this when see the recording as well. I want to take this opportunity also. There are people behind the scenes that really made this happen, who heard that I was, interested in doing something like this and gave me the opportunity to make this happen on the national platform here at NALHE's account. So Lori Thibodeau, she's behind the scenes, an ace and a guide and a support. Marcos and Orlando are leaders in NALHE National. Again, opportunity, they heard it, they fostered it, and they say, run with it, this is a great idea. The guys at the Tri-State chapter, the board members, kind of basically all supporting me. Marlene, who made the flyers, Jose, our president, who just always checking in. It's like, hey, you need any help? Is everything all right? I can go on and on and on. There's so many people. My wife basically just giving me the guidance, being my first pass. Like, what did you mean when you wrote that? That doesn't make any sense. And I was like, okay, let me rewrite that again. Those little things. Just want to thank everybody. And I want to thank you, Debbie. I want to thank you for being my first guest. This is a series that I hope people would find interest in. We intend to do this on a regular basis. Right now, we've got it planned to do on a quarterly. We might do it more frequent depending on the feedback and your suggestions. But thank you for being my first. I couldn't imagine doing this with anybody else.
Well, I am really honored and privileged to be part of this series. When you first approached me about it, I just thought it was such a valuable, important thing to do. And I really, applaud you for having that innovation and thinking and doing it, And we've been planning this for some time now. And
Year and a half.
But was it that long?
Almost a year. Yeah.
But listen, I think it's a great thing to do, and I don't know how many people are on listening, and how many more will listen in the future to the recording. But we're making a huge impact to people, and I think you're a leader, you're inspirational. You did all this while changing jobs and getting promoted and going to school. So I think it's really a terrific venue and a great initiative, and I am very proud to be your first guest. And I hope that everyone really enjoyed the time. And I'm seeing more comments coming through.
We got members from Pacific Northwest on the other side of the country on. That's awesome. I see you so much.
And the Ascendor program, by the way, two of my team members were selected to be part of that program. I wrote them letters of recommendation. So am I allowed to say that their names?
No, that's to them, I guess. But yeah, you sure feel free.
Yeah, Karina Checo and Christina Norman, who I see is actually on the call. So they both got accepted to the Ascendor program, and I think it's going to be great. And I'm very, very proud of them. And I see other people here that work with us. I see Marion Choice is on. Hey, Marion, thank you for being on 2 days before you get married. Brian Williams. Oh, Brian, thank you. Brian's somebody else that I worked with for a long, long time ago. I mean, no, not that long, but you know, we Brian and I know each other from Beth Israel days, David.
That's awesome.
And now Brian works with me at Bergen Newbridge. So
That's awesome. I got, the whole NALHE family is here. I got people from Seattle, Pacific Northwest.
This is phenomenal.
It's pretty humbling and so cool. When we meet in the summit, once a year. Last year was our first summit. Raquel and I went to Seattle, and just to be hosted there and to be made feel like we're home. I love the familiarity. The culture connection. It's almost instantaneous, and I think that was what really kind of disarms you when you don't know everybody in the room, but everybody looks familiar, and everybody, we have so many core values that we kind of share. So I'm super grateful.
Thank you.
With that said, I want to thank everybody for joining. I want to thank you, everybody, for contributing, and the comment section was just lit up the entire time. Super grateful for all the interactivity. I want to bring back Edmundo, and he's going to end the interview series for us.
Thank you, Dave. That was awesome. I hope that everybody enjoyed it as much as I did. As we conclude, let us carry forward the spirit of inclusion and advocacy that characterizes the NALHE family. Keep in mind that our dedication to diversity, equity, and inclusion transcends these virtual walls, permeating every aspect of our professional lives. An announcement reminder, if you will, registration is open. The NALHE Annual Leadership Summit is set to take place on September 11th through the 13th later this year in Dallas, Fort Worth at the Omni Las Colinas Hotel in Irving, Texas. Hope to see you there. This event would not be possible without the generous support of our national sponsors, to whom we express our sincere gratitude. Buenas noches, and nos vemos at the summit. Thank you.